Right? Ready? Go.
The doctors frantically rushed her into another room to attempt to stop the bleeding, leaving him practically alone without warning. Confused and scared, he held his son Solomon in his hands for the first time for 3 minutes and 16 seconds before his son breathed his last breath. A miracle considering the fact that the doctors told him that the baby would never breathe at all. The second miracle that night was that his wife, even though she lost 2/3 of her own blood, survived with minimal damage. This is a story about my friend Giuseppe, who went through a tragic loss. And I was thinking about this story, and I can only imagine that even in the midst of all the chaos, even in the midst of everything that was going on, he was looking at his son, he was holding his son in his hands, and I can only imagine that he had to think, like, this is my son. This is my beautiful son. My perfect son, in the midst of everything that was going on. And I think the Father had a moment like this in Matthew 3:17, when Jesus was baptized and he comes up out of the water, and the Father shouts from heaven, and he says, "This is my son, chosen and marked by love, delight of my life." And we expect men to have this kind of reaction to seeing their children for the first time. Even the most vulgar, immoral men, they share in the same kind of reaction. And yet we are oftentimes so unaware of the Father's extravagant delight toward ourselves. We even think that he more disdains us for who we are than that he delights in us. We call ourselves sinners and thieves, and we use these terms so loosely. But that's not what you were created for. That's not what you were created to be. You weren't created to be a sinner or a thief. And that's not what the blood of Jesus restored you to. When you came back to the Father through the precious blood of Jesus, through the high price that he paid, he got to hold you in his arms for the first time. And I guarantee you, he didn't look at the angels and say, "Oh, look at this. We've got another dysfunctional one, another sinner here." No, he took you in his arms and he said, "Look at my child, my son, my daughter, delight of my life, perfect, in whom I am well pleased." I want to challenge you to begin to see yourself the way the Father sees you. You are better than you think you are.